Right, hello and welcome to another video of a game that I haven't played in a while of fucking Dawn of War Warhammer 40k Soulstorm and the unification mod. Now I'm playing the Tyranids with the palette raid of the Hardbringer because that's really one of the only ones that I really know about so much. And we're against the Renegade Guard raid, which is the Mobian 6th. Right, so we're going to get some Gene Stealers out. Now, Gene Stealers and the Brood Lord, right? Main people right in this, right? The Gene Stealers are more of like an advanced force, right? They go to planets, right? On civilian vessels, right, and other vessels, and infest the planet. They will get on the planet, they will get right down onto the ground very stealthily, and they will hide in the hive, right, in pretty much in the slums of the hive, in the very bottom of the hive worlds, right. And then they will use their because every Tyranid raid is kind of like magic, right? They've kind of got a force, right? They've kind of got an ability, right, to connect, right, to the psionic link. Right, now this is my broodlord. This is technically what would be classed, right, as the person that's in charge of the ground forces. Or maybe seen, right, as the person who would be in charge, right, of what like a Gene Stealer might be able to get up to. But Gene Stealers, basic ground units, they go in, they trick people right into being in a relationship with them, giving birth right to hybrid children, and then from there they kind of move on and keep just making each generation give birth right to another and another and another generation right of alien hybrids. Now it doesn't show it very well in here, and it doesn't do it very well in the game, in the tabletop. So yeah, at this point I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing. Because I haven't played the Tyranids before, I didn't realize that there's an invisible builder that you gotta kind of link onto to be able to do anything, because it doesn't really tell you that. So I am going to kind of speed up, and I will be back roughly when I figured out how to build. Alright, so this is the part where I was just like kind of doing a drag click right about right to try to figure out how to, if there was an invisible builder that I can see. And yeah, I do find it. I do start placing down pretty much listening posts and stuff. And honestly, it's later on I kind of fuck myself over by sticking buildings too close right to where the invisible builder is. Makes it a little bit harder right for us to do it. Now, just got me Gene Seed at the moment, and yeah, their entire thing is go make generations of generations of the generations of human Tyranid hybrids, and then when the actual fleet arrives, the kind of come down, the only ever really show up once either the planet is fully taken over or is either halfway there. Whether they are losing or winning, it doesn't really matter too much to them. So the Tyranid will drop down, right, in the drop pods. You don't really see that in here, but you will in like Space Marine 2 videos and all that if you check them out. And they just drop out of these like seed pods, and they kind of they just wipe out both sides. Whether that's the defenders, right? Like, both sides of the defenders and the attackers, right? And it's not until that point, when all these generations after generations, right, of hybrids, pretty much, believe that their four-armed emperor is coming to save them, right, is there, right, to deliver them, right, and send them up to heaven and all that, let them be a part of something greater and stuff like that, where they realize that they've been tricked, and they kind of start, depends, like some of the Tyranid, like, books, right, and stories, right, that I've heard, and some that I've read, they allow their victims, like the hybrids and all that, to realize the folly of their ways just before being ripped to shreds. Others, right, allow them to be ripped to shreds. Others, right, pretty much send them running and jumping right straight into the fats, right, of acid to be turned right into fucking bio-fucking fuel. But, you know, it is what it is. And this video is more or less just me showcasing the units on this and just talking about it, bits and bobs of them. So yeah, kind of a bit insane, right? The Gene Stealers. I think the Brood Lord, right, is kind of like, well, potentially a Gene Stealer would be. If they were like a Brood Lord, right, or a Gene Stealer, right, evolves into a Brood Lord once it arrives on a planet. Not entirely sure, but the way the Brood Lord on here and pretty much a big guy, right, the main boss, right, in a Warhammer original animation, they kind of look quite similar, right? So I'm assuming that they are like the same thing, right? So it's like, I believe that's kind of roughly what they're meant to be. So let's see. So but I will have the 2 Gene Stealers, okay. Right, so I'm going to pause and I will be back once I actually have new units to show. Right, so I have spawned some Spinagons. I have not been able to, look, like, I've got the Tyranid Codex, right, which is, I think it's like the 11th edition, 10th edition, 11th edition, whichever's current edition, right, of fucking Warhammer 40k, right. There is no talk, right, of those guys. So I'm kind of guessing, right, they were kind of a mix, right, of the Homogons, right, and the Homogons and the fucking other things. Why can I never remember things? Like, and I just looked through this book as well. So you would think I would remember what the little fuckers are called. Was that news on that page there? Right, Homogons and Termagons, right? So I'm kind of guessing, right, it's kind of just like a mix of those, right? I've got units, right, busy dying because I don't understand. I forgot, right, that press and delete is how you would delete them. No. Spinagons, they look alright. I have them going over there. Gene Stealers. Yeah, we know about those guys. No. I think this is the... these are the Termagons, right? Purely ranged guys, have a little bit of right melee. Then you got the Homogons, which are fully melee. Right, now these guys look quite similar. They've done quite a good model with these guys. The Termagons, right, is your standard right model right in the base game. On like the fucking board game of it, the tabletop. That's what the word I was looking for. Homogons, yeah, once again, kind of same sort of thing. kind of base raid units, right, from, like, if you were doing a melee rush. Gargoyles are quite standard. They are a bunch of flying units. Right. And you see this, the Spanish guns there, right, just taking the shit out of them. Pretty much. During, like, you see the green ooze and stuff like that, that is just purely there, right, to symbolize the change in the atmosphere, right? Because when the Tyranids come down, they change everything, right? They devour everything, and that's right from the particles in the air. These are river swarms, small little creatures. Interesting fact that I found out recently, that I didn't know when I first started playing the tabletop. These guys spit. These guys have got a ranged attack. I didn't realize that. Wait, I thought they were just melee only. The little playing cards I got right from the start of it said these guys were ranged only. But yeah. So I only learned that out right today, so that's quite interesting. But yeah, no, the Tyranids, they change everything, they devour everything, right? I think at this point they even know how to devour metal and break it down right in the properties right into like a biodegradable right fucking liquid. But they have like microscopic right Tyranids flying through the air, right, that's devouring all the air particles. They get onto your skin, right, and all that, right, and they slowly start breaking down your skin cells, your hair follicles, like everything. It's the why, like, a lot of people when they are fighting against the Tyranids, they will be wearing, though the men be wearing like gas masks and stuff like that to help them breathe, because they can't breathe without them. But yeah, no, they melt everything down right into like a biomass fuel, and they kind of use that as then like the hive fleets and stuff like that come down and kind of suck it all up, right, slip it all up, right, in what you can almost imagine as a kind of like a massive drinking straw for them. Yeah, this was me trying to figure out, right, because of the movie, because of pretty much the animated series, right, that I watched, right, which is about 2.5 hours long, right, if you watch like all 10 episodes, right, because they've kind of done it into a movie where it combines all of them. The guys kind of look quite similar to the Brood Lords, right, in the final scene, but you also see Gene Stealers in there as well. Oh, blimey, I am so tired and I do apologise. Oh. Yeah, kind of thinking that if these guys just keep developing and keep sorting things out right for this game, they will, I hope, at one point they add in the ability to have fuck's sake, words are hard. Like hybrid humans and all that, where it's instead of like the 4 arms, like the Gene Stealers there, right, and like everything else, where it's 4 arms, it's like 3-armed guys, right, with a rifle, or 3-armed guys, right, with like sacrificial daggers and stuff like that. Now these are lictors, right, these are pretty much jumpy, invisible boys. They like to jump at you, they pounce on you right in Space Marines 2, and they just use their, I don't know if it's the big claws, right, or if it's the smaller set of claws, to just scratch at you, right, and try to do as much damage to you as possible. Pain in the ass, right, the fight right in the fucking game. Ugh. These are Ravengers, these are Burrows. They will go underground, then they will pop up at a later date and attack and spring an attack. Kind of launching themselves right at people. Some stories I've read with them, they're kind of insane. But these guys, these are warriors. These guys, well, either like in this one, it shows you it's your claws and 3 ranged weapons. So, in the Space Marine 2 videos that I had done right in the past, these guys, right, these warriors, right, are what the sword wielding ones are, the whip wielding one, and all the ranged missile ones, where that's shooting the barbed wire, the one that shoots the green pellets, right, that's split up everywhere, the snipers, all of those, right, those are all warriors. Let's see, do I have anything else that's yeah, here's where I figure out, right, that delete actually kills things. Oh yeah, High Tyrant, right, big old beast. We do fight one in Space Marines 2, but it is very badly damaged. We got Xenophobes, which I fucking hate with a passion. Pretty much giant brains, right, on fucking tiny little bodies. You know. Hey. Oh, do apologize. Right, but yeah. Then you got these, the Bio-4s, right, which will shoot in Space Marines 2. I'm just going to refer a lot right to that because that's the most recent game, right, that shows quite a lot, right, of the Tyranids. Those guys are the ones that kind of shoot, right, the explosives, spore mines out. This is going through the different Conifex, right, units. Now, as far as I'm aware, right, in the book, well, in the Codex, which I'm pretty sure is the most recent Codex, you got the Screamer Killer, which is an older adaptation, right, of the basic Conifex strain. And as far as I'm aware, I don't think there is many other Conifex strains. But the Swarm Lord, Old One Eye, which I thought was something, but it hasn't popped up yet. I thought it was related to something that I read a while back, but it's not. High Tyrant, Wing Tyrant. Yeah, so it's not like these guys. Fucking hate those guys. Those fucking spawn launchers really got some insane range. Look at that, man. Not doing a lot of damage. I think currently they are more designed to fight infantry than they are buildings. I do get the spore missiles, mines and all that, and these start wrecking havoc. Oh, right, okay. High Tyrant's fucking pain in the ass. Yeah. Oh yeah, the Xenophobes, yeah, raids. I just sent a lot of them ready to attack. You can't go on and just understand that the basic Homogons and Tamagons, they're gonna act the same, right? Act the same way, right? They're not gonna change the way they attack. They're kind of interested to see how the Screaming Killer does. That's pretty much it. It just stabs down front. Nothing to really shout home. That guy's got kind of like a machine gun-esque stance on it. It's like, yeah, you can see some are using large rifles, some are using auto rifles. Yeah, we've got the Ravagers over there. They do more or less the same attacks, really. They just keep stabbing. Warriors, that get just them all. Yes. All the upgrades there. Now, when it says claw, right, the image looks like a crab claw, yeah? But you don't actually get that, it's just some hands. I was like, that's kind of a letdown. Right, and it's kind of a big letdown. Yeah, right. I'm going through all this. You got your standard convex, which I will be popping out. Yeah, I start sticking out all the last rate fucking units. Yeah, because this is a playtest, I don't really want them to be. I don't really want to like keep spawning in like more and more units. While I've still got quite a few out on the field, so I keep having the guys like bury down, pop up, do all that shit. Static Convex, which we fight quite often. Normally it looks like this and it just spits shit out of the head, but apparently it's got the actual weapons, ranged weapons that it can sling underneath. And yeah, where I thought they would be hidden. Turns out they're not. Well, they probably are, but I bet one of the units rate has an ability rate to be able to detect hidden. Right. Alright, there's the bio rate, acid rate, there's spore mines. Right. Yeah, honestly, the Tyranids building mechanics and stuff, really interesting. Like, really interesting. Did not expect it to be going as good as it is. You've got different abilities. Like this starts helping them like devour the world and all that. It's pretty much how I explained everything before. It just starts liquefying everything. Right. And then at the very end, once every morsel rate of the planet has been liquefied into a bath of acid ready to be slurped up by the hive ships, all the remaining units rate of the Tyranids will go and jump into the baths of acid and melt down, and then like their own biomass will be used again. It's like they collect their own dead, they'll put them in the acid, they'll collect the dead rate of everybody else, put them in the acid. It takes a while for the acid to work, but it still does. It does its job. Like, I read a book, can't remember what it was, but it was a bunch of Kachans and a Acadian and a tech priest walking through a Tyranid infested world that was slowly dying to reach a geoformat platform, or like it was something better than the planet that the original people that came here used it to make this place rich with minerals and jewels and stuff like that. So they were trying to get there, right, to use it to destroy the Tyranids. And now there's a scene in there. Well, there's a few pages in there where the Cadian thinks he's found other members of his Cadian, other members of his regiment, of his Cadian regiment. So he goes up. He's all happy, ready to see them, and they. Turns out that they've all died, right? But they're all being slowly digested in this pool of acid. So he wades in, he grabs a Cadian, and he pulls, trying to free them, right? Trying to get them out, because with the acid slowly dissolving them, it looks like they're kind of waving and all that. So he goes in, he tries to save them, he manages to pull one of the bodies out, but because it's been slowly getting dissolved, its legs of this Cadian soldier raid are missing. They've been dissolved, and by the time the Cadian officer raid looks down at his own shoes, they are currently melting and all that because of the acid. It's the acid slowly melting everything down. It's the small Tyranid bio raid, fucking microscopic raid bioforms mulching in the acid raid, helping to eat raid everything. It's insane. It's fucking insane. I can't remember what it's called. While everything is going, I will have a look. For the king. Yes, Death Wilder, right? That's the book. Right. Yeah. Right. Death Wilder, great fucking book, right? 100%, if you can, do give it a read, right? It is a fucking really good book. That Leviathan, yeah, which is the Hardbringer, which is the colour class that I'm using. There is another that we've fought that thing a bunch. I think I brought up, right, the big massive snake bloody underground guy as well before. I think he's died. Here is Old One Eye. Now, according to the lore that I searched up, I thought he was something else. I thought he was for this Hardbringer raid units, because there is a story that I read with the Leviathan where these. Yeah, I was just attacking, thinking that those were like things that I would have to continuously build. But no, I do apologise. Old BLI here, right? Old One Eye. Right, I thought it was a Carnifax, right? That I believe it was the captain, right, of a small, right, like chapter, right, size, right, or something like that, right, of space ultramarines. Pretty much his ship wasn't going to survive. It had already been overrun. They managed to trick, right, the fucking space marines, right, the sensors and everything, and managed to get this big beast on board. And then pretty much the captain, or whatever he was, manages to use its thunder hammer to pretty much destroy half of the Carnifex's face. Now, this Carnifex somehow manages to get back right down onto the planet that they were at, but the remaining like handful of guys were at, and honestly, fucking destroyed like everybody pretty much, right? He was a beast, right? Just refused to die pretty much. So yeah, I thought that's who he was, but apparently not. Apparently, according to the law, which I've obviously got rid of now, that is, yeah, Old One Eye. So, Old One Eye was a Carnifex who spearheaded the Tyranid fleet, High Fleet Behemoth's assault on Ultramarines' worth of Kolth. Squadron away leaving roast battle tanks as if they were insects. Its rampage was stopped when a forgotten hero of the Imperium fired a plasma pistol through its eye into its brain, and this shot was the first time Old One Eye was brought down, and it's still unable to regenerate its eye, and it is permanently scarred with the plasma burn running across the skull. Right, then, like, I do zoom in on that right. Oh yeah. Now, decades later, after the fleet raid has been driven away right from the Ultramarines worlds, right, of Kolth, band of smugglers stumbled across its body, frozen in ice. They unfreeze it, hoping to get money from it for the body. The wounds heal, bar its eye, wakes up, and it slaughters all the smugglers. It goes on a Tyranid raids right all across. Land convoys are destroyed, hard domes smashed, and entire population is massacred. The lesser Tyranids like the Taragons and the Gene Stealers were left behind by High Fleet Behemoth. The invasion were drawn to Old One realized presence as a dominant Tyranid leader organism. The people of Kolth cried for aids, and was answered by Sergeant Talion of the Ultramarines. They tracked down the Old One Eye, but found it difficult to pierce its armored flanks as Talion's warriors were put to pieces by the beast. Talion had made a 1 in a million shot that hit its ruined eye socket. Old One Eye was overcome with pain, stumbled into the cavernous ravines. Talion led a search for the body, but Old One Eye was never found. Nobody knows exactly what happened to him, but throughout the universe and on multiple different islands, believe that they have seen the Carnifex with the same like mutation of like the burnt, scarred like face and stuff. Yeah. That would be an unstable mutation defending it free from healing. It's gonna expect that but with the arrival of High Fleet Life, and this mutation has become nearly a standard on every Carnifex, apparently. Right. But there's legends out there that Old One Eye has been killed more than a dozen times. The Gene Stealer cult known as the Behemoid undercult worships Old One Eye alongside its own Gene Stealer patriarch. It is such a totem of an importance to the undercult that they ritually scar and tattoo themselves, or even cut out their own right eye in homage to the creature, seeing as it as a prophet right of the Xeno god they simply called Behemoth. Okay, so the thing that I thought the Broodlord wasn't. It was a Gene Stealer patriarch, which is just a giant version, right, of just a normal Gene Stealer. Yeah. Gene Stealer patriarch is a massive Tyranid Gene Stealer bioform who is the original factor that has created a Gene Stealer cult on an infested world and becomes its leader and ultimately controller of its food. Twice the height of a space marine with a strength enough to slice an Ogrin into bloody chunks, this creature is a leering nightmare of tooth and claw. Right, so yeah, look, you see that I fucking just destroyed them there. So I am going to end this here. Once the score screen comes up, we'll be able to see how well I did there. Right, so by the looks of it, I had better military, better resources, worse technology, and I didn't die, but I had a better score in total. So I'm going to end this here. I hope you have enjoyed, and if you have, please do leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And without further ado, bye bye.